Hello, and welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex. Today I'm telling the story of the first time I was admitted into the psych ward. It was about 10 years ago, midsummer. I'd gone to a birthday party the day prior. I was in high school, 16 years old. This particular day I was home alone. Something that my mom did regularly after I got my license was to check the mileage on the car and compare it to where I went to make sure I wasn't lying about my whereabouts. She called me while I was home alone, just hanging out in my room. Apparently there was a mileage problem. She had checked the mileage and it had too many miles for her to believe that I just went to a birthday party. How this happened was there's two roads with the same name in our area. One road is right down the road from our house, about 5-10 miles away. And the other road named the same thing is about 20-25 miles away across town. My friend lived on the faraway road versus the closer road. I tried explaining this to her. She did not believe me in the slightest. She asked, "What are you really doing? What are you hiding from me?" And I told her again, my friend lived all the way across town. It's not unreasonable for there to be 30 to 40 miles on the speedometer when I had to drive that many miles to get to his house. She called me a liar and said, I, as a daughter, will never be good. And then she hung up on me. For whatever reason, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And afterwards, I took about 30 pain relievers to just escape because I felt like shit. I felt horrible. I believed her. I was never going to be good enough. I was never going to live to my full potential. I was never going to reach her expectations. My boyfriend called me about 20 to 40 minutes after I took these pills. I was numb. My speech was slurred. He noticed immediately and wanted to know what was going on. I told him, I took a bunch of pain relievers, but don't worry about it. I'm okay with it. He calls a mutual friend of ours who calls the police, who send an ambulance over to pick me up, since I am home alone. They strip me down, put me in a gown, get me on a gurney, put all the stickers on me to monitor my heart and stuff, take me into the ER. After I got to the ER, they notified my parents. My stepfather was the first one there. And he was pretty somber. He just looks at me and says, "You're a good kid. You can't leave me here by myself." And then he squeezed my foot, and I could tell that he was holding back tears. Me and him had a nice sitting together silently for a while they were trying to get me to vomit, and they were worried because too much time had passed and it was already getting through my stomach. Then my ma got there. And when she got there, she just started screaming at the doctors and the nurses on how they're not doing their job right. I mean, whenever she went to the hospital, for whatever reason, she was yelling at the staff for how they were underperforming. But I had my stepdad there, so it was okay. They transferred me to another hospital about half an hour away to be in a critical care unit for a couple days. They had to watch my liver and my potassium levels, all that. I was getting blood drawn every 2 hours, so that sleep was real crappy. I just getting woken up and poked every so often is not fun. After the critical care, I was put into the Psyche unit for a 72-hour hold. Now, when I was in critical care, I was just lying in a hospital bed watching TV, eating food in bed. It was pretty nice, to be honest. It was like a little mini vacation from a stressful life. And then the psych ward, there were a lot more rules, there were a lot more restrictions. I had to wear scrubs for the first. Actually, I think I had to wear scrubs throughout the whole thing. They didn't let me wear a bra because you can hang yourself with your bra. So I was kind of just walking around real uncomfortable. I'm a teenage girl. It's going to be uncomfortable walking around without a bra on. The other ladies in the ward with me, I mean, there was a nice one who I connected with a little bit. There was a schizophrenic who did not like me. And I liked her just fine. Just she didn't like me being around in the room. She said that I caused voices to happen for her. And as somebody who experiences voices myself, I can understand not wanting to be around a person that makes that worse. The first night in the psych ward was music night. So we combined the adolescent psych ward with the adult psych ward in this room with this older lady who played piano requests. There was all these piano music books on the table, and you could pick out a song for her to play, and she would play it. Well, it's the first night. I don't have a bra on. I'm in scrubs. I'm extremely uncomfortable. And so I'm kind of sitting at the table with my arms crossed in front of me. And there's this older gentleman from the adult ward sort of sitting next to me. His name's Bob. And Bob was bragging to me about his Rolex that he got for $7.99. He was a very cheerful man. He actually made me giggle a bit. But when he saw me sitting with my arms crossed, he told me, "Show 'em loud and show 'em proud." Because he could tell that I was uncomfortable being there. And, I didn't take it predatorily because he was just an overwhelming happy person. I mean, obviously he was somewhat delusional, but he did not seem malicious in the slightest. He just was full of life and full of fun stories. And then the lady playing piano, I had her play a Beatles song, and I cried during the Beatles song because it reminded me of my friends because we were all really into the Beatles at that time. The Beatles are awesome. But, yeah, that was the first night. It was pretty shocking to be in a psych ward and to look out the window and be like, I can't go out. Because there was like a Shopko right across the road. So sometimes I'd look out the window and just be like, look at all those lucky people just walking around, not knowing that they're free, But, yeah. And then after the first day, we got a new girl. Her name, we'll call her Sarah. There's a new girl, Sarah, who came in. And we were sharing at group therapy about why we were there. And I told everyone while I overdosed on pills because I wanted to kill myself. And after the group therapy, this Sarah person approaches me and is like, it's very disrespectful for you to use the word overdose when I come from people who actually overdose. And from that first interaction, she just did not like me. She was a compulsive liar. She just told stories about how her dad was the head of all the police, and her friend were doing drugs in Florida, and the women's jail was too full up, so they were put in the male jail area, and her father's also a lawyer, so he sued the police station for putting his daughter in a dangerous predicament like that, because of course all the male inmates wanted to have sex with her and leered at her and yelled profanities at her. He was also the head of the CIA. I mean, she had a very well connected father. So, other than listening to her stories, I colored with crayons because, of course, there's no sharp objects. So I colored with crayons, and there were some coloring book pages that we could color. I wrote letters to my friends telling them how much I missed them and how I really messed up in my stress response. I had a psychiatrist and a psychologist who couldn't figure out why I tried to kill myself. They were talking to me like, well, what kind of provoked it? And I'm like, well, I was bad. I went to a party, but my mother didn't understand that was far away. And it's because I lie so much. And they're like, well, what do you lie about? And I'm like, I don't know. And they go, well, why do you think you're bad? I don't know. I just am. I just know that. And so they didn't get very far trying to talk to me because my brain just completely shut down and was like, no, I'm a bad person, but I'm all right now. I don't want to kill myself. It's just I wanted to kill myself because I just know that I'm bad. So they couldn't really figure much out. 3 days go by. My parents come to pick me up. I'm sitting in there with the psychologist and my parents, and he's explaining to my parents, well, she is very stressed, and she has a stress cup, and she keeps pouring stress into it and not letting any of it out. So the slightest thing can kind of tip her over the edge into these suicidal actions. So she needs to be able to express her stress more. Which they go, oh, okay, oh, my poor daughter. The whole shebang. And then she let me hang out with my friends for a couple days after getting home. She kind of gave me a little bit of a break. It was about a week until she threw that into my face and told me that I should do it again. So, if you have any stories that you would like to share, feel free to share them in the comments. I hope your week is starting out well. Mondays are usually pretty long to begin with. So, have a good one.